Hello, I'm here to drop in for day 34 of our Panchakarma, and I wanted to talk to you today about how to adjust your daily drop in with your body on that mat, getting in your movement, how to adjust that flow as we head into Vata season now that we have entered fall, because everything starts to shift in Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, there's never one set plan that just stays stuck with you all year long. It is an evolving practice that's about moving in harmony with nature. And there's definitely this going with the flow energy in Ayurveda, which is all about moving with the seasonal flow, moving in harmony with the season, eating the foods that are in season in your area, which is different depending on where you are, right? It has a lot to do with the climate, where you are in the world. Not all of us just ushered in fall equinox. There's those of us in the world who ushered in spring equinox, okay? So it's all about what is seasonal in your locale and really letting that form the basis of the foods you're taking in. Here in the United States, we are in fall season. It is a time of getting more quiet. Is it a time of getting more nurtured? It's a time of really building Vata. So Vata has resilience as we move through the fall and the early winter, which is Vata season. And there's two gunas or qualities that can really disrupt Vata's well-being, and that is cold and dry quality, which tend to be abundant at this time of year. We see that reflected in nature. All of the leaves are starting to dry. Things are withering on the vine. Everything is starting to recede to get ready to let go, let go and give over to that flow that will eventually carry us forward into the deep, deep rest of winter. So now is a time to follow through with things that we set in motion, things we've been nourishing, projects, visions we've had that we've been building since spring when we worked with that initiatory energy, and we've been nourishing and feeding it and growing it to fruition through the summer. And now fall is like the last details, like let's follow through, let's get things completed, because it's all about getting to this space where you can then really give over and sink into rest, sink into reflection, integration of the experiences. And this allows you the space to then be ready to really turn within, let go completely, give yourself over to winter, which wouldn't that make the holidays so much less stressful if you moved in harmony with this flow, right? And then you're not like doing all this other busy work at that time because you really had everything kind of moving in harmony with the season. Now I know, life in the Western world, it's kind of crazy. And there's always this very much go, go, go mentality, bigger, better, faster. And there's still ways that you can work within the madness that is, our culture and find your own way to create these islands of calm, of rest, of deep nourishment. And that's why having this practice of dropping in with your body, giving your body this care, this movement, it's so essential, because it's a way to really get rooted in your body so you don't get disconnected from that, so you don't get scattered. The energy can get very scattered with Vata when it's disrupted. And it's very common at this time of year as we start to head into the colder, drier season. So, there's a piece with Vata about bringing in warming spices and warming foods, which tend to be the foods we gravitate toward at this time of year, right? You want the soups, you want the stews, you want things like this. It's natural. It's just very much in harmony with the seasonal flow. Your body already starts to crave these things. Certain things that sounded wonderful in the summer aren't going to sound so great now, and that's just the way it works as we head deeper and deeper into the season. So it's the same with movement. It's the same with exercise. And while earlier we were doing a lot more stirring, really kind of getting things moving and getting them flowing and, breaking up the congestion in the body and all of that. That was a cleansing cycle. But now it's time to, consider, do you want to do another round of cleansing? Do you want to do another 3 days? If you want to do another 3 days, this last week would be the time to do it. I wouldn't really extend a cleanse beyond this last week that we are doing with each other, because it actually will do you a disservice. And this is a very important piece when it comes to any kind of cleansing or purification. It's something that people really need to be aware of, because cleanses, when they're just done continually, they actually can be very depleting for the body. They can be really hard on the body, and then you're going to set yourself up where your immune system is not going to be as strong, is not going to be as resilient as you move through this time of year, and that can cause a lot of problems. You'll also be more susceptible to stress, feeling frazzled, not feeling grounded, feeling scattered, having busy mind, problems with insomnia, a million different projects going at once, all of them half done because you're like, squirrel. That's what happens, when Vata starts to go out of balance. You forget to eat, there's just this lack of connection to the body. And that's Vata's tendency, because you have to think of it in terms of the elementals, right? Ether, air. So if Vata is not pacified, the ether air energy just builds. And then the next thing you know, you're like disconnected from your body. You're all up in your head. You're wandering off into the alfalfa, and you've totally, just lost the map, and everything becomes quite chaotic and disorganized. We actually call it Vata derangement, and it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be. So we can actually support that with our body drop-ins when we go to exercise. And there's certain types of exercise that are very pacifying for Vata. Vata responds more to creative types of movement, as well as more restorative, gentle, nourishing types of movement. So dance would continue to be something wonderful to pacify Vata dosha. You can include as much dance as you like, and listen to your body, listen to your body with that. It's really important right now, especially as we're heading into this time of building, that you really pay attention to your body's rhythms, that you really honor when your body is saying, hey, you know what? I feel a little tired today. Can we just chill out on the mat? Can we just do some restorative yoga? That sounds really good to me. Give yourself permission to do that. Don't push yourself too hard. It's good to get your body moving. It's good to keep it moving. And that's why it's really a grounding practice to have this daily time that you devote to yourself, a half an hour to show up and give yourself some care and attention. And even if you can't do it all at once, you can do 15 minutes in the morning, you can do 15 minutes at night, and you're worth it, You're worth it. We're all worth that, to just have this time to make contact with our bodies, to get grounded in our bodies, and to really lean into what they need, and giving them that care and attention. It's so fundamental. It's so fundamental for being resilient through this time of year and keeping yourself really centered as things start to get a little crazier. I mean, we're heading into the holiday season soon. It'll be upon us before we know it. We all know what it gets like at that time of year. And, we're wanting to de-stress, decompress, let's move through these holidays in a different way. Let's have an experiment. Let's see what happens when we head into the holidays deeply nourished with grounding practices already established in our lives. It makes a huge difference, okay? So, keep up the dance. The dance is wonderful. And, think of even bringing in a little bit of that calming, a little bit of soothing, even with your dance. You can do more gentle dance flows, you can put on slower music. You can learn how to move in a new way with dance. It doesn't always have to be so energetic. It can be very slow and sinewy and subtle. That's a very Vata quality, this subtle. It doesn't have to be anything that's getting you just like sweating your brains out. You know, you don't have to go flash dance mode. It's not necessary. All right. Another type of movement that's really good for Vata is, of course, yoga. Yoga's always great. Vinyasa flows are wonderful. Even Hatha, restorative yoga, is excellent. Pilates is great for Vata, as is any kind of somatic kind of exercise like Feldenkrais is wonderful for Vata. It would also be a really good time to do any kind of like rehabilitative exercise, you know, just strengthening the foundation, you know, giving a little bit of resilience to the joints that can act up at this time of year. The skeletal structure can really be affected by the cold and dry, and Vata rules over the skeletal structure. So giving your body a little bit of love on that level can really help. Getting in the therapeutic exercise, you know, keeping up with your gua sha, keeping up with, you know, your abhyangas. I would do like a lot more oilination, a lot more abhyangas, you know, when you're bringing in that rehab component into your body care time each day. Not so much doing the more invigorating, you know, stimulation. You don't always need to stimulate the lymph with real vigorous, you know, type of stimulation. You can do stimulation of the lymph very, very subtly, very gently, just gently, really gently, you know, touching those channels. Just feather traces with your fingers is another way to stimulate the lymph. And it's more this kind of this subtle, this gentle, is very soothing for the nervous system for Vata. So definitely you can still bring in that gua sha, but it's just kind of like a different emphasis, And salt scrubs are still great. They got the oil, which keeps, you know, Vata nice and happy. But at this time of year, you want to move away from things like dry brushing, Garshana, you know, friction with the silk gloves. Like it's just going to make you feel more frazzled, more fried out, you know. That tired but wired feeling, it's not a good feeling for Vata. Vata needs more of that cozy, nurturing, warming, yummy, lovey energy, all right? Another wonderful exercise to do for strengthening at this time of year is just good old calisthenics. And sure, you can bring some weights in too, but not so much of this really like intense, like circuit training kind of stuff where it's that real kind of gung-ho energy. That it's better, honestly, in the summer season, summer and spring, you know, really getting things stirring at that time. That's great. And it's wonderful when you live in with this kind of a lifestyle, because it really applies to all things, this seasonal flow. And by moving in harmony in this way with your fitness, you can also periodize your training. And then you'll watch how things change with your body. Watch how your body starts to shift. Watch what kind of shape you get into when you start to move in harmony with the seasons. And it can be really actually a cathartic process, especially if you're somebody who has spent a lot of time, you know, trying to improve your body with exercise. And maybe you've noticed you hit a lot of plateaus and you don't understand what that's about. And I don't get it. I'm like really working out hard. Well, you might be working out too hard, you know? You might need to periodize your training a bit. You know, there's periods when you focus more on building, and there's times you focus more on the cardio component and, you know, really getting things moving, getting things stirring, bringing in the intervals, like all of that. And then there's also times when it's more about gentle integration and moving the body in different ways. And it actually can have a really beneficial effect to back off a bit, you know, let the cortisol lower, because exercise, especially if you're doing high intensity training, it can be a stress to the nervous system after a while. And 9 times out of 10, if you're working out really hard and you're like hitting a wall where you feel like you're not seeing any physical progress, or you're really tired after you work out, or it's a long period of recovery in between sessions because everything is just so painful and you got all this like lactic acid buildup in your muscles and you got that delayed onset muscle soreness, and what used to only be sore for a day or two has now got you down almost a week. You know that you're pushing too hard. You're like heading into overtraining mode. You're not listening to your body. So that kind of stress is hard on the body, and it will send a signal. The hypothalamus will get the memo and will send a signal that will produce cortisol in the body. And once you got cortisol going on, you got this issue with, heading into syndrome X territory, which is a precursor for both diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And that's when you start to really gain fat around your middle. And that is the fat that we do want to be most aware of because it does increase your dis-ease risk. It does. It has an effect. But if your stress hormones are really elevated and your adrenals are taxed, and this is all tying into the endocrine system and Vata's domain of the nervous system, you really want to be mindful, that it's going to go beyond just being difficult to see any progress with your exercise if that's your focus. And for some people it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are wanting to get healthy. I'm on that journey myself. I've already made a lot of progress in my life and in my story with that, but I'm an older woman, I'm an older woman, and I definitely have noticed, things change as you get older, but it's quite amazing what you do when you pull back a little bit and then you find like, wow, that's all I needed to do to just break through that inertia to get things moving in a positive direction was just take it easy, back off a little bit. And now it's just all like the results are evident from relaxing more. It really makes a big difference and it's a game changer. It really gets you looking at things differently. We're really programmed to look at like training, fitness, all of these things with a very almost punishing mentality in the Western world here. We push so hard. The West is very pitta. It's always about go, 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 harder, faster, better, more. And that constant pushing can really fry us out. It can burn us out. We have to find the balance, and this is the balancing point. We just moved past that fall equinox, so now the dark comes in more. The dark starts to build as the light recedes, and the darkness is the time of rest, and it's the time of nurturing and gestating and calming and not stirring things up and being so energetic. So consider this piece with your movement. Listen to your body, trust what it wants to do, and go with that flow. Just go with that flow. Bring more creativity into your movement. Bring more soothing flows, more gentle flows. And the piece I really wanted to bring in, because it's so accessible, is start a daily walking practice. Let this come into your movement. So maybe you have 15-minute drop in the morning with your body or at night, and then you do a 15-minute walk later. It's so doable, but walking is such a beneficial exercise. Walking is excellent for reducing cortisol. It's excellent for reducing stress. It also takes you out into nature, so you get to be in harmony with the elements. You get to watch the seasonal flow, and it's strengthening for the joints without having this like high impact on the joints that can be problematic and damaging over time. So that's another benefit of it. It is good for the muscles. It does have a cardiovascular component. You can get your arms pumping, when you walk, and if you go at a nice clip, you can really get a good workout. You can get your cardiovascular going. You can get your lymphatic system stimulated. You're out in the fresh air, and it's a really positive experience just to get out of your four walls, get outside, outdoors, even if it's just in your neighborhood, and get the energy moving. So I encourage you to bring this in, but with a twist. So start using these walks as an opportunity to take whatever question you got that you've been grappling with, or whatever stressful situation you've been trying to figure out a way through, whatever has been weighing on you, or any kind of guidance you're needing, anything like this, and take it to the walk. Take it to the walk. Let it be like a ritual walk, a meditative emotion where during this time that I'm walking, I hold the space for this issue that I'm grappling with. And at this time, I ask that on this walk, all the signs show up for me, that spirit, Atman, my higher consciousness, goddess, God, fairy, however you relate to it, that you speak to me through the natural signs around me, that you come to me with guidance through the synchronicities that show up for me on this walk, through the people whose paths cross mine, and what I discover in that exchange, the conversations I overhear, the weather pattern, the way the elements are behaving around me in this walk, that this walk, I trust that everything that's coming through for me is communication from life itself, giving me exactly what I need to have the guidance that can move me forward at this time. As you're going on this walk and these signs come onto your path, maybe you find a feather, maybe you see a leaf and it's particularly beautiful to you and you feel very drawn to it, or you find a special stone. Just be open to the way nature speaks to you. Collect these things, bring them home with you. And then set up a space, like an altar, if you like. It can be just a shelf, but it would be lovely to create like a fall altar that has symbols of what you're really looking to harvest this fall, what you're looking to call in. What are those things that you're wrapping up, that you're bringing to culmination? What are you hoping they will deliver on the other side of all that time and energy and work you've invested in growing your harvest? And you can have your altar be like a template of that. And on this altar, you can use these natural items to start to create a mandala. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. You can create whatever design you like, but every time you go on a walk, you gather a few new items. You add them to your mandala, and you add to your mandala every time you go on a walk. And the shape of your mandala may change. You may be inspired to, have it go in a different direction as you add more items to it. And this beautiful creative flow that you're bringing back home into your space with you. And build this leading up to Samhain, leading up to Halloween on October 31st. We will do something with this. I will jump back on this Panchakarma playlist, and we will do a very special closing ritual with this. I think you'll be surprised how deep of a practice this can be, and what it can bring forward, and the way it can really connect you with nature, and the way that the natural elements are always communicating with us, and how connected we are to the natural world around us. It's actually a very beautiful practice. And it also connects you to your spirit. So I love this piece of having this drop-in time. Having this drop-in time to care for your body, and taking that out into the elements to also nurture that connection with the mirror, with the macrocosm, with nature. It's a beautiful practice that will really enter all of us into that seasonal flow. And I'm going to be creating a mandala and building that, and it's going to be a really cool experience. I'm really looking forward to that. And I would absolutely love it that if you decide to take up this practice and create a mandala, when you have your mandala completed, or even if you want to share as you go through parts of the creation, if you want to shoot me a little video and send it to me at broadcoven@gmail.com. At the very end of everything, after Samhain, I would love to create a video with everybody's, mandalas included within it. I really love this idea of us all making a greater communal mala together, putting our energy together in that way. I think it's just so beautiful to support each other in gleaning our harvest, supporting each other in really investing in our visions and supporting one another in doing this healing work and showing up and dropping in and giving our mind, body, spirit what it needs for nurturance. And how beautiful it is to build a supportive community around that and enter into co-creation with that at its center. So this was very special for this to come in, and I really wanted to share it with you today. It's just so valuable. We all can walk, sometimes people are held back. They hold themselves back from getting exercise because they get caught up in the hype of sort of what's marketed to us by the fitness industry, that you have to have a gym membership, or you need to go to this yoga studio and you have to have the hella cute, Lululemon outfit and all of that. And, just a walk is great. Hike would be great too. Just getting out there, seeing all the changing fall colors. It's so beautiful at this time of year. You could go walking in a corn maze, go check out the pumpkin patch, like have fun, enjoy what's on offer at this time of year. Go and pick apples. There's just so many wonderful seasonal things you can do that will really move you in harmony with the season and with nature. And in that, you're going to find just such a beautiful flow and feel so deeply nurtured in this process. So this is what I have for you tonight. This is what I wanted to bring in. Experiment with this in this last week. Give yourself full permission to rest deeply when you need it. Take extra naps when you need them. And just be really sweet to yourself. And tomorrow I'll bring in a bit about building ojas, what that looks like, what kind of foods you want to focus on to build up your ojas, what kind of activities you can do to build up your ojas, the nectar of life. So stay tuned for that and have a wonderful evening.